Hello and welcome to another anime lore and theory video. I'm Shergok, your host, and today we are going to take a closer look at why Ainz Ooal Gown, despite being alone and still playing Yggdrasil online every single day, never ever made a new friend. But before we're going to take a closer look at any of this, let me quickly thank my Patreons for supporting this channel, as well as say thanks to all users of the YouTube thanks function for making one-time donations. And with that said, let's get to the topic at hand. Ainz Ooal Gown was someone whose entire circle of friends and acquaintances existed only online. Apart from a few real-life meeting up with his guild, Ainz was completely socially isolated in his offline surroundings. And this wasn't unusual in the year 2138. While our world today struggles with issues like pollution and microplastics, the environment in 2138 had entirely collapsed. Or rather, it had been collapsed. The land was so inhospitable that all plants and animals had died out, leaving only some extremophile bacteria to survive. The sky was perpetually covered in smog clouds, and even the rain was acidic, toxic, and had an oily texture. In other words, our once blue planet resembled the nightmarish world of Nostromo from Warhammer 40k, or the surface of Venus. Except for the heat and the pressure, making spending time outside far less appealing than it is today. And to illustrate how dire things were in Ainz world, the toxic gases in the atmosphere were so potent they could eat through the most advanced gas masks, gradually destroying the lungs. And by the mid-30s most people either required artificial lungs or a casket. So in essence, surviving this world outside of protected environments required gear similar to that of the deathcore of Krieg, and outdoor activities like picnics in the park were an impossibility. And on a personal level, Ainz' life was equally bleak. He had no children and women seemed to outright avoid him, despite his relatively normal appearance in the anime, and he also had no family left. And his parents had passed away, and specifically his mother had died while preparing his favorite meal, succumbing to stress. And this phenomenon has a name in modern Japan, karoshi, or death by overwork, which is a significant problem today, and needless to say, the stress of such a life negatively impacted birth rates as well. In short, not only had the environment collapsed, but so had the people living in it, at least socially to a very great degree, and as a result Ainz Ooal Gown was extremely lonely in his real life, like many people are today, and he turned to the online world to find friends and have a great time, and with both he ultimately succeeded, with the Great Tomb of Nazarick. And the tomb wasn't just beautifully designed, its throne room for example was inspired by Neuschwanstein Castle, but because the game allowed players to fully immerse themselves on a neuronal level, hence why the game was called a so-called dive MMORPG, the social interactions there in the in-game world were likely far superior to just reading text messages as we do today, or hearing somebody through the voice chat. In other words, the bonds he formed with his online friends were much deeper than what might be possible in our own world. And unlike today, the players of Nazarick could also enjoy beauty salons, hot springs, and other interactive spaces that avatars could physically use, because these avatars even had a sense of touch, making inappropriate physical contact also a serious offense since it felt as real as being touched in person. So again, you can understand why touching Albedo in such a manner as Ainz Ooal Gown did later when he came to the actual new world, the fantasy world that is not in-game, why this was such a big thing and such a great test. Moreover, in order to understand Ainz Ooal Gown's loneliness, we also have to understand that his group of friends found him, rather than the other way around. Ainz was essentially rescued by Touch Me from other players, who ganged up upon him, which gave him a group he could belong to. And this alone demonstrated that Ainz had previously struggled to build connections and relationships, or find a guild or a team. As these friends gradually left the guild, much later, Ainz Ooal Gown could not and would not bring himself to form new relationships, because Ainz didn't want to replace his old friends. He didn't want to bring new people into Nazarick, people he didn't know or trusted, which was understandable, given that a world item had been stolen before. And the guild also had gained a bad reputation, and many players only wanted to join to become stronger, without caring about the guild or its sole remaining member. And again, as mentioned, Ainz Ooal Gown previously had managed to find friends on his own, and had been part of a friend group for well over a decade. However, one by one his friends left the guild, due to professional or family obligations, and this doesn't mean his friends stopped liking him or that he had fallen out with them. On the contrary, Ainz always maintained positive relationships with everyone, and because of his friendly and reserved nature, was also chosen as guildmaster, at the request of the guild members. And Hiro, another guild member who came to the guild meeting shortly before the server shutdown, had no problem sharing his personal issues with Ainz Ooal Gown, even though they hadn't seen each other in years. And this alone showed that Ainz was fundamentally a social person, but he was simply too attached to his old guild to seek out new acquaintances. And in addition to the risk of new people trying to exploit him, Ainz also lacked experience in forming friendships. Furthermore, he didn't want to replace the group of friends he had known for over a decade. And the memories were simply too precious, and the time spent together was too special. And the sentiment was something he clearly conveyed when interacting with the Swords of Darkness. They were a close-knit group of friends from the New World, who would have had no issue welcoming Ainz and befriending him. However, Ainz refused, and he made his feelings so unmistakably clear that the Swords of Darkness thought they had accidentally insulted Ainz's deceased friends, whom they assumed he had lost in battle, by simply offering and extending their friendship to him. And this doesn't mean Ainz was incapable of making friends in the New World, because in the Evil Eye bonus book, Ainz Ooal Gown established contact with Evil Eye and managed to rebuild his old guild, completely adapting to the new environment. In other words, in the Evil Eye bonus novel, there was actually a good ending, where Ainz Ooal Gown didn't become a tyrannical overlord, but rather a kind and very carrying skeletal mage in another world. Akin to Ark from Skeleton Knight in another world, if you think about it. And Ainz became so involved with this new guild that after 200 years, and making a lot of new friends, he was able to move on from his old friends to the point that he simply had forgotten that this guild existed in the first place. However, in the current timeline, with the NPCs and the Grey Tomb of Nazarick, Ainz remains firmly tied to his old life, his old friends, and his former connections, combined with the fact that Ainz was naturally passive and lacked the skills to break the ice, plus the expectations placed upon him as an undead overlord and the leader of Nazarick, along with his own desire to be there for the NPCs. These factors ensured that Ainz didn't make any new friends or connections in the new world outside of his old guild. And that being said, this doesn't mean that Ainz didn't enjoy his time with the Swords of Darkness, or that he wasn't happy for Shizu Delta when she made a friend, Nea Baraya. And even the parasocial relationship with Emperor Jerknith, whom Ainz observed through his mirror of remote viewing, was something Ainz viewed positively, pun intended. He admired Jerknith and saw him as a role model. So overall, Ainz was also very friendly towards the NPCs. However, they saw Ainz as a higher being, which prevented a genuine friendship and basically being on the same level from forming. And with that said, now it's your turn. What's your opinion on Ainz Ooal Gown's lack of friendships, and why do you think Ainz doesn't seek out new connections? Let me know it down in the comment section. And with that said, please also check out my German channel, my fantasy channel, and if you don't want to listen to my voice or accent, but are still very interested in the things I have to say, I have made an AI channel, narrated by almost a woman, where I use AI voiceover. The channels are all linked down in the video description. Also, please check out my Patreon if you want to support me beyond just leaving a like or sub. And with that said, I say thank you very much for watching, thanks to my Patreons for supporting this channel, and as usual, I say my special thanks to Other Daddy Other, ASK, Bad Girl Yee, Bad Burrito 316, Beezer, Ben C, Brandon S, Brandon D, Chrissy, Crowley 0221, Sia, Crystal Prime, Dead Slime, Death is Mercy, Deathless Dragonlord, Demon Xenomorph 1987, Devin Downen, Ding Dong, Din Pep, Dragonlord Placido Saxophone, Duckwagon, Dunkler Krieger, Dystopia, Dystopia II, Enigmatic Unicorn, Feral Shivan, Guy with That Head, Hector Marino, Hoss, Huster, Jacob G, Jana B, Jason, J. Morris, Chromius, Kyle R, Lee K. Long, Legendarius, Le Louche Britannia with a Mustache, Lexus Fox, Lord Nishikian Rai, Lord Touch Me, Loverazer, Merovec, Mr. Shoes, Mr. Tweaker, Michael R, Michael Y, Nope, Oh Hell No, Normal Toad, Oh Kill, Overlord General Gasper, Paddy Pantum, Personage, Ruru, Primus 11, Rhinomere, Q&A Caracos P, Shergox's Daddy, Shadow Lightning Wolf, Shrine Keeper, Sir Axolotl, Super Tier Magic Batista Bomb, Supreme Cheese, Staris, Ted, Texas Deer, The Orc Warboss, Rocket Smasher, T.E. Wang, Vash Hawkeye, Vegito27, Venture Fanatic, Wilhelm, Xenokai, and Sonagon. Thanks guys. Anyway, have a nice day, and I hope to see you all again soon on my next video.